Welcome to Thoughts Roundup. I'd like for a couple of times, a couple of sessions, I think I'd like to just talk to you. Not produce or anything. I just like to relax and talk to you. The last thing I did, it almost put me to sleep. I woke up like this. And I thought, well, was it that boring? So I just talked to you a little while. Maybe a time or two or three. I'm 86, and ever so often I think about my old home place. It was in Louisiana, about 23 miles from Alexandria. That's where the Manions have pastored for many years. But now, the time that I'm talking to you about, the Manions did not pastor there. I believe Brother A.T. Morgan pastored there at one time. He was the general superintendent years ago. And, we lived a mile and a half off of the main road that came 23 miles from Alexandria on its way to Hineston. And Hineston was about 2 more miles down the road. And we lived a mile and a half off the road, and no one lived on that road but us. If you saw a car coming, you knew that it was coming to our house or it was going to pass our house going fishing. And anyway, in the back of our house there was a well. Now that was the only water we had. It was a well that was bored. We call it bored well. About 8 inches across, and sent a bucket down 112 feet. Pulley up there holding the thing and the bucket. And so we'd have to get our drinking water there. We'd have to draw enough of it up to wash. And that included 2 or 3 tubs. I'll talk about that washing one day. It wasn't very far from our house. It was just, we took it a little ways from home. I'll tell you about that later, since we're just gonna be talking a little bit. And that house that we lived in was an old house. It was built many years before we moved into it. Now you got to understand that we didn't have any electricity. I shocked some folks at a church not long ago and told them that we had to watch television by candlelight because we didn't have any electricity. Well, of course, there wasn't any televisions either. And so that house would get so hot. Of course, it'd get so hot their chickens had to eat crushed ice to keep from laying hard-boiled eggs. But I had, any time it was hot, you see, you didn't have any fans. The only fan we owned was a little funeral home fan that you took it in your hand and did it backward and forward to make you cool just a little bit, and you couldn't fan and sleep at the same time. So it just wound up, you learn to sleep in the heat. Now, if I wasn't just talking with you, some of you wouldn't know that. You just wouldn't grasp it. Well, I had the measles one time there. And it was a custom and a belief that when people had measles that they had to stay covered up and take it, and the windows, you had to put a quilt or something over the windows so no light could come in. So you get the picture? No air, no light, covered up. They thought you would lose your eyesight and so forth if you didn't. So 3 or 4 days I slept day and night with the windows covered, the doors shut, and it was hot. I remember the day that I got a little bit better. My dad brought a bar of candy in, a Zagnut bar of candy. And I got that bar of candy, and I'm going to tell you, it was the best bar of candy that I have ever eaten in my entire life. I have not seen a Zagnut in a while, but since that time, I have never been able to pass up a Zagnut candy bar. I just hunting, craving that feeling of it tasting so good. Well, you know, I'm going to talk to you a little bit, probably tomorrow. I'm going to talk about the road that wound up through the field about a quarter of a mile. I'm going to talk to you about the big gate. Since we're just talking, just let an old man talk a little bit. But I'm going to tell you something tomorrow about the big gate. I think that you'll remember. Yeah. The big gate. God bless you.